If you feel like you're constantly redlining but staying in the exact same place, you need to stop doing what most high achievers do. We've been taught that burnout is just the price of admission for a big life. We treat it like a badge of honor or a sign of weakness that we just need to grind through. But here's the truth. Burnout isn't a sign that you're working too hard. It's a sign that you're misdirecting your energy. You're likely working harder than ever right now, but you feel exhausted because you're obsessed with the win instead of the work. The reason you're hitting a wall isn't the long hours or the heavy workload. It's the psychological weight of trying to control things that simply aren't up to you. I spent time analyzing the daily habits of Stoic masters and found one specific rule they use to maintain elite output without losing their minds. Ready to finally break through that barrier? Here's how you apply the dichotomy of control to your career and your personal goals. If you don't master this shift, you'll eventually hit a wall that no amount of caffeine or willpower can get you over. Moving forward, let's look at the core philosophy that changes everything. Stoicism teaches us that your energy is a finite resource. Think of it like a battery that only has a certain amount of charge every single day. Most of us are leaking that charge through something I call outcome obsession. We spend our mental cycles worrying about things we can't actually touch. The dichotomy of control is the ultimate productivity hack for the modern world. It's the act of ruthlessly separating what you can change from what you absolutely can't. To understand this, think of an archer. The archer can choose the best bow. They can sharpen their arrows, and they can practice their aim for 1,000 hours. They can even choose the exact right moment to let the string go. But once that arrow leaves the bow, the archer is no longer in charge. The wind might pick up. A bird might fly in the way. The target might move. Most ambitious people stay awake at night worrying about the wind. They stress over the promotion, the shifting market, or the social media algorithm. They focus on the target instead of sharpening their own arrows. When you focus on outcomes, you create massive anxiety. You're tethering your happiness to a result that involves 100 variables you don't control. But when you shift that focus strictly to your effort, you create flow and resilience. This shift doesn't mean you stop caring about getting results. It actually means you realize that the best way to get those results is to stop obsessing over them. By pulling your energy back to the things you actually influence, you become more effective. You stop wasting power on the what-ifs and start putting it into the what-is. It all comes down to mindset. If you're constantly checking your stats or waiting for a boss to validate you, you're giving away your power. You're letting the external world decide if you had a good day. The Stoic approach is different. You define success by the quality of your input. Did you show up? Did you do the deep work? Did you stick to your principles? If the answer is yes, you've already won, regardless of what the wind does to your arrow. Speaking of implementation, we're going to start a daily audit. This is where you take every single stressor currently sitting on your chest, and you label it as either internal or external. If it's external, like a client's mood or a colleague's opinion, you acknowledge it, and then you stop feeding it your energy. You stop the leak immediately. This creates a massive amount of mental space that you can then reinvest into your actual craft. This is how you stay ambitious without hitting the floor. You become a closed system. You focus on the bow, the string, and the release. This is the only way to play at a high level for decades instead of months. Which brings us to the actual implementation of this rule in your high-pressure life. Now that you understand the filter, we have to apply it to your deep work sessions to prevent that midday crash. Most high achievers fail because they treat every task like it carries the same weight. They try to brute force their way through a massive to-do list using sheer volume. But the Stoic approach is about optimization through elimination. You need to remove the mental clutter of what-if scenarios that drain your brain's battery before lunch even hits. To do this, I want you to start using the 10-second rule for decision-making. If a task or a sudden worry pops into your head that is outside your direct control, you have exactly 10 seconds to acknowledge it and then discard it. Don't let it sit in your mental foyer. If you can't influence the outcome of that specific email or that market shift right now, It doesn't deserve a single spark of your cognitive energy. We often mistake busy work for impact work because we're trying to force a specific result through volume. We think if we just do more, the result is guaranteed. But that's a trap. By focusing only on the controllable input, you actually finish your tasks faster and with much higher quality. Why? Because your mind isn't divided. You aren't half working and half worrying. You are fully present with the bow and the arrow. I've seen this shift transform burnt-out founders into calm, focused leaders. They didn't start working fewer hours. They just stopped carrying the weight of the results while they were doing the work. They shifted their success metric from, "Did I win today?" to, "Did I execute my process perfectly?" This is non-negotiable for anyone who wants to play the long game. Modern hustle culture is built on a boom and bust cycle that will eventually break you. You see people go hard for 3 months and then disappear for 6 because they ran out of fuel. The Stoic rule prevents that. It allows you to maintain a high level of output indefinitely because you aren't wasting energy on the wind. You become an essentialist. You realize that most of the things you're stressed about don't actually require your attention. When you stop trying to play God with your results, you finally have the energy to actually achieve them. It's a paradox, right? The less you obsess over the finish line, the faster you actually run. You start to find joy in the mechanics of the work itself. This is where true elite performance lives. It's not in the shouting or the grinding. It's in the quiet, steady focus on the things that are actually on your string. The key takeaway is that burnout is just the price you pay for trying to play God with your results. You're exhausted because you're carrying things that don't belong to you. Here is your homework for the next 48 hours. Every single time you feel that familiar spike of stress or anxiety, I want you to stop and ask yourself one simple question. Is this arrow still on my string? If the answer is no, let it go immediately and get back to your next shot. If you want more practical strategies for optimizing your mindset and hitting your goals without the breakdown, hit subscribe now. Check out the next video on the screen to learn how to build the kind of resilience that makes you untouchable.